And what I mean by this is just start charging for what you do. Start selling the thing, right? Because right now you're in testing mode, okay? You're testing, does this work or not? What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Chloe, for those of you who don't know. Most of you who are on here know me from my viral TEDx talk. Others of you know me because I've led $2 billion in community investment and pivoted my career so that I could help you do the same. So if you're someone who believes in building ethical wealth, healing yourself so that you can genuinely enjoy this one life, and then helping other people do the same because our communities deserve it, you have found your people. Now, in my last video, I was really sharing with you the tips on how to make sure that you can thrive during a recession and help your loved ones do the same. And a lot of those tips, which I'll make sure I link the video up here, talk about the big picture of what you need to focus on. This video is a follow-up to that because so many people ask me the question of, how do I make more money if I'm still working? Or how do I know what business I need to start? And when I think about those questions, there are a few common denominators that apply to either situation, and they apply to you. So make sure that you watch all the way through this video because each of the tips matter towards building up your portfolio. Now, the first thing that I'm going to be talking about is that you are an expert. Now, some of you, especially the people who have the most questions and maybe wrestle with some self-doubt, may say, well, I don't know what my skills are, or I don't know if I'm really good at anything, to be honest, or I'm kind of okay at this, but so-and-so is better than me, so who am I to even try? I have to address these kinds of thoughts first, because if I don't, it doesn't matter what else I say in the rest of this video, you're just going to be hearing your own inner chatter. So, first, I want to tell you, you absolutely have expertise, okay? You may not know how to identify it, which is okay, because I'm going to help you do that. Or you may struggle with some confidence, right? Of feeling like, well, I can do that, but am I an expert, etc. You're better than someone at it, and someone can learn from you. That is very valuable, y'all. And the more our communities can see how often we can always learn something from each other, we become a more compassionate, intelligent, creative, and connected community. That starts with you believing in yourself. The social good you want to see in the world starts with you believing in you. That requires you to do some inner healing work, right? That might require you to look at, why don't you experience the confidence you perceive others to? Why don't you have the kind of self-love that would help you take small action or know that it's okay to fail and get back up, right? These are things that I talk a lot about on the channel, so I'll try to think through some videos that I've already done to help you with this. But first is that we have to get the mind right. So working on your mindset is absolutely going to be number one. And the key belief that I need you to be working on is that you have expertise, right? And identifying that expertise is going to be tip number two, right? You've got to figure out what you're an expert in. Now, I remember when people first said this as I was starting my career, I had no idea what that meant. I was like, girl, I don't know. Right? Like, I just was in school. I'm good at that, right? Like, but I didn't know how to break down what made me good at things or even recognize that I was good at things, okay? Earlier when I was talking about getting the mind right, y'all, I'm talking to my past self, and honestly, I might be talking to my tomorrow self, right? Like, that is work that is ongoing. But what I will say is that I developed a toolkit that allows me to ask the right questions, find good, healthy, self-confident answers, and to just keep going. So, some of the tips that I use to help myself or my clients find their zones of genius is, first, look outside of yourself. Think about the compliments people give you, right? Think about the things someone has said, like, oh, you're good at that, or how do you do that, right? Sometimes the people around us, whether intentional or not, can be like little luminaries guiding us to our own light. They can show you the things that you're good at without even realizing that's what they're doing. The second thing I would say is take a Strengths Finder test, right? There's one that I'll link below. It's called the Clifton's Strength Finder. It's on Gallup.com, and I took that test and found out that my top 2 skills were strategy and empathy. Y'all, absolutely no surprise, but it was kind of cool to see it affirmed and in writing, right? There are also a bunch of personality tests like Myers-Briggs, the DISC assessment, different leadership assessments, you name it. So I can talk about those in a different video if you're really curious about the merit of personality tests and how they help you. But the point is, there are lots of tools outside of just your own recognition that can help you pinpoint what you are uniquely gifted at. And then if you're also not sure, start to look at what lights your heart up. Right? The things that you are inclined to, the things that you are drawn towards, it speaks to you in some way. And even just you being able to recognize, to like see it, to hear it, to feel it, something that calls to you, that's enough of direction, right? And you may be the leading expert in it, or you may have opportunities to just keep learning and growing. Either way, pinpoint your expertise and your passions, and that's going to be step number 1. Step number 2 is I want you to keep developing those skills while simultaneously getting and becoming visible. Y'all, and this word sometimes scares people. It's honestly funny the amount of DMs I have or the clients I work with who say, I'm good at this thing, but I'm like scared of people seeing it, or I feel like somebody's gonna find out that I'm a fraud, or I'm gonna, step out there and not be as good as I think I am. The fear of failure, y'all, keeps so many people from ever being great, right? And let me just like stick a pin in the balloon or the myth of failure. Everyone fails. Y'all, I fail, you fail, we make mistakes, right? But what separates or differentiates the people who meet their goals and their dreams and the people who don't, it's not about failure. It's about how many people have the resilience, tenacity, and the spirit of humility to keep learning and keep going. Those are the people that actually make it. So now that you've heard this, you're gonna be one of those people if you're not already. We got this, right? So you are going to start getting visible. Now, what I mean by this in today's world is that you're going to figure out some way to use either word of mouth or preferably social media to start building a network of people who see what you do, right? Some of you, and I know this, y'all, there are members of my family who just refuse to use social media. That's okay. Right? You have networks around you, whether it's community gatherings, different events, different conferences, etc. You really can find ways to do word of mouth and tell people what you care about, what you do, and why you do it, right? That is going to start creating and sharing a story that's compelling. And of course, it has to be honest. Y'all, I don't do any like BS marketing. I don't believe in any don't inflate what you do or don't do, right? Be very honest, because you're going to find the right people, and you have to be able to deliver once you get there, which we'll get to in a second. But start networking. Now, for my folks who are comfortable using digital tools, or not even comfortable but open to it, because I know some of y'all want to but aren't comfortable yet, social media has truly revolutionized the world of marketing. And if you don't know this, just even look at the trajectory of magazines and newspapers, y'all. Not only are they all digital, but a lot of them are discontinuing their in-print versions because we've become such a digital world. We connect so digitally, and of course there are cons to this, but I'm going to focus on the pros for this video because I want you to understand the pros in terms of how you monetize your expertise, right? And going back to the point that we're on, this is through becoming more visible. It is now easier to build a business or start a side hustle than it has literally ever been, right? Aside from the fact that, we're all now like legally allowed to drink from the same water fountain, LOL. There's also the technological revolution that has democratized access to more people, right? So the amount of reach you're able to get just by being on social media, y'all, I have clients literally around the world in countries I've never set foot in. That is so mind-blowing when I really sit back and think about it, right? The same is true for you. You can have clients literally from anywhere at any point, and you can be in the comfort and safety of your home. That's incredible, right? So before I go down the rabbit hole of the benefits of using social media, what I want to focus on here is that you have tools at your disposal, and like a lot of these tools are also free. So the cost of operating is also much less. You don't have to run ads to be visible, although that's absolutely a strategy you can use. For the purposes of this video, I want to keep your costs as low as possible because you're figuring out where you want to monetize right now. So we're going to start by you just getting visible, telling your story authentically in terms of what you care about, what you do, how you do it, why you do it, and building up an audience that way. Visibility means building an audience. And a lot of you guys don't realize you already have an audience, right? You already have a personal brand. You already have an audience. The difference is it's a matter of whether you intentionally cultivate those relationships and connections, or you kind of just let them be organic, right? And if you feel like you don't have an audience, what I mean is if you know people or people know you who don't live with you, that's a network, right? Or even the people who do live with you, that's an audience, that's a network. Right, so I just want to start normalizing for you that it really is about human connection, and tools like the internet, like social media, like conferences, etc., can spread your network or amount of connections much further and allow you to create a customer base. Now with visibility, knowing your expertise, knowing how to communicate that, then you are going to want to start monetizing the expertise. And what I mean by this is just start charging for what you do. Start selling the thing, right? Because right now you're in testing mode, okay? You're testing, does this work or not? Do I know, do I have the right product and customer fit? Some people call it product market fit, but I just want to make sure you know what I'm saying. Do I like doing this, right? Because it looked great over there, but now that I'm in it, I don't like it, right? So before you try to brand it, before you try to invest money, lots of money into making it this perfect polished thing, I want you to do it lean, make it of course good, but don't go investing so much into it only to figure out you don't like it or you can do something else, etc. Right? Start making money, and then once you've started making money, of course, you can build out more of a formal business. Before I move on to the business planning, I just want to offer to you that if you're unsure of how to monetize your expertise, just look up consulting, look up what a consultant does, how you become a consultant, how you find clients, look up what a coach does, look up online courses. You can, of course, there are books. Your girl's a huge book nerd. I love books. They were super helpful. If you don't like reading, Audible's also great. And then what else I would say, besides coaching or consulting, if you're product based, if you have a product that you're thinking of and you want to sell it, try to make what's called an MVP. So a minimally viable product, your minimal viable product, which basically means get the prototype version. So before it has all the bells and whistles, before you again invest a lot of money into making it great, test out the core pieces of it, right? Sell that, and then once you start making money, improve and iterate, right? So, and when I say iterate, I mean basically you do an action, you look at how it went, and then you take what you've learned and do it again, and you improve just a little bit each time. That's what iterative means. So once you've monetized, then you're going to look at, let's say it went great. Then you're going to say, all right, it's time to make a business plan. So with the business plan, I usually coach my students to try to make a business plan that's simple. Y'all, long gone are the days of having a 50-page business plan. I don't know if anybody's told you this, but your business plan should fit onto one piece of paper. I'll post a resource that I think is really helpful that I use with my clients. It's called a business model canvas. You have to be able to map out your business onto this one piece of paper. This is a resource that I got out of Harvard's business school, and it has been really helpful to help people be focused in on what's the value here? What are the questions I need to ask myself, etc. It helps keep you succinct and, of course, focused. So write out your business plan and then get moving, y'all. For so many of us, and y'all, I'm not even going to talk about you. I'm going to talk about me. I know myself, right? Like, I can be so deep on the strategy side that I'm scared to act sometimes. I'm scared to just go out and do it. However, there's a quote that I've heard, an encouragement I've gotten over the years that really helps me through this block. And the quote that I'm thinking of is, don't let perfect be the enemy of progress, or don't let great be the enemy of good. Right? It's basically saying, don't let these kind of aspersions in your mind or illusions in your mind prevent you from actually creating something that's real, right? Because you can, ruminate in your mind all day long. You can think, and realize you have nothing to show for it, right? That's not what we want. And there's so much learning that happens through action. So of course, prepare yourself, right? Learn enough to take action. That's your goal. You need to learn enough to take action. And by doing things like watching these kinds of YouTube videos, my channel, other educators, you're on the right path, okay? So learn enough to start taking action and then keep learning. Earlier, I was talking about iterate. This is such a helpful concept to have as a business owner and entrepreneur, right? You take action, you study it, like you have to be reflective, and then you're intentional about the learning process, right? So you don't just see, oh, that didn't work, I'm just gonna do it again, right? With no change. When you realize something doesn't work, you tweak it, and make sure, y'all, always write it down, because our emotional memory is not super trustworthy. So write it down so that you can have a real recollection of the learnings along the way. And then, keep studying, and you guys, it's gonna be awesome. As a last little note, in terms of tips, if you got to the point where you're going from like monetization to business plan, and you're like, this isn't the business, this is where you just pivot. Go back to the drawing board, look again at your expertise, pick something else, start creating content, like talking to people, getting visible, then monetize what you do, and then see like, okay, yeah, this is gonna turn into a business plan, or no, we're going back to the drawing board. It's okay. It's absolutely okay to test things. So that's gonna wrap up the video for today. I want you to look in the description box, because I've got a strategy guide for you. I've listed a few different resources throughout the video, but I wrote a book that is just for you, and it's totally free, right? These kinds of lessons and information are things that I believe you deserve. Like, as soon as I've learned them, I knew I had to make sure there's no gatekeeping in my community. So I make sure you have the most current and best information to help you heal yourself from the inside out, build ethical wealth that protects you and your family for generations, and help others do the same. So head to the description box, and I also have got some videos connected here that we've kind of referenced throughout the conversation today that is going to help you in your journey. So with that, that's gonna wrap up today's video. Check out the resources below, and make sure you subscribe so that when I post the next masterclass with you, you're already gonna get the information straight to your YouTube feed. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.